Our top focus on World DNA this morning. U.S. President Donald Trump has told his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky that the U.S. could own and run Ukraine's nuclear power plants as part of their latest bid to secure a ceasefire.
And this comes in Russia's invasion of its neighbor. A day after speaking to Putin for about 2 hours, Trump held what he described as a very good hour-long phone call with Zelensky. On the other hand, the Ukrainian president labeled his conversation with his U.S. counterpart positive, frank, and very substantive. Now, speaking during an online briefing, Zelensky said he and Trump discussed U.S. ownership of the Russian-held Zaporizhzhia power plant, admitting that Europe's largest power plant, which is on the front line, could take more than 2 years to be made operational again.
Zelensky further said that Ukraine was ready to pause attacks on Russia's energy network and infrastructure as part of a partial ceasefire, but warned that Kyiv would retaliate if Moscow violated the terms of the truce.
The Ukrainian president, however, expressed his belief that Putin would not agree to a full ceasefire. The Russian president, in his own call with Trump, had insisted that there would be no agreement until the West stops all military and intelligence support to Ukraine.
Facing losses on the battlefield, Zelensky requested additional Patriot defense missile systems during his call with Trump. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said that Trump agreed to work with him to find what was available, particularly in Europe.
Now, Ukrainian and U.S. officials could meet in coming days for fresh talks in Saudi Arabia, where Russian and American teams are also due to meet early next week.
President's team of negotiators and national security experts will be heading to Saudi again later this week to continue working on and ironing out the details. But I would just like to emphasize we have never been this close to peace, and it's only because of President Trump that we are here.
Russia and Ukraine exchanged 372 prisoners of war today. The prisoner swap was brokered by the United Arab Emirates, and the Russian defense minister said Abu Dhabi used mediation efforts of a humanitarian nature to facilitate the deal.
According to reports, Russia and Ukraine exchanged 175 soldiers each, but Moscow further returned 22 seriously injured Ukrainian prisoners of war in need of urgent medical assistance. Kiev and Moscow, however, accuse each other of continuing attacks. Ukraine's defense ministry said an overnight barrage of Russian missiles and drones hit railway energy infrastructure in the central Dnipropetrovsk region, killing one. Russia's defense ministry reported a deliberate Ukrainian attack overnight on an oil depot in the south of the country, which they said was aimed at derailing Trump's attempts to broker an end to the fighting.
For more on this, our New York correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Listen to this.
President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a significant phone conversation. During that call, President Zelensky expressed gratitude for America's support, particularly the provision of Javelin missiles, and acknowledged the productive collaboration between the Ukrainian and American teams in the March 11th meeting in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Both sides agreed to continued efforts to achieve a lasting peace between Russia and Ukraine under the leadership of President Donald Trump. President Trump briefed President Zelensky about his recent discussion with Russia's President Vladimir Putin, focusing on the situation in Kursk. They concurred on the importance of close information sharing between their defense teams as conditions continue to evolve on the battlefield. In response to President Zelensky's request for additional air defense systems to protect civilians, particularly Patriot missile systems, President Donald Trump agreed to explore available options, notably within Europe. Additionally, the two sides also talked about the ongoing humanitarian situation in Ukraine, the exchange of prisoners of war, and the situation of children missing or abducted during the conflict. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World this One.